All right, I did go ahead and cut the 4 flame tips that we're going to use in the final product. I'm just going to set these aside somewhere that I won't lose these tiny little guys while I work on the actual layers of the project. So what I like to do before I've done anything is grab a little sandpaper. This is a 220 grit and a little sanding block, and just lightly go over the surface. Sometimes plywood will have almost like these little wood hair fibers that stick up, and when you go to paint, it can just be annoying that they're there. So I like to go ahead and do this before I mask or put down the 3M adhesive. And with any woodworking, always sand with the grain, don't go up and down. If you're staining or even painting, sometimes you'll actually see those sanding marks. And I can tell that feels smoother already. So blow or wipe that off real good, and then we're going to put down our masking and the 3M adhesive. All right, so we have our board. I'm gonna go ahead and lay down some masking. I use this with vinyl projects. It's a transfer tape. Mine's by Orifal. I don't know where and when I got this, years and years ago. A roll of this will last you forever. But what I'm gonna do is, I looked at the sizes of those first 3 pieces, the ones that just get masking and no adhesive, and it was about 10 inches by about 5 inches. So I'm just gonna lay out this to 10 inches. Be sure you brandish it down well. You can use whatever. Probably a flat piece would make more sense, wouldn't it? And then I'm gonna put this area for my double stip 3M tape. I'm gonna grab that. Okay, so now I've cut my 3M into pieces that are about 5 inches by 4 inches. And I'm gonna set these up just next to the masking. I'm sure there are more efficient ways to do this and use less, or have less waste or scrap behind. But for the video, I'm just trying to keep it simple. And we'll maximize my stuff later. All right. Obviously, you could put this as one big rectangle. I'm gonna put my final piece on the back side of this corner here. Just flip it over. And that is because one of the pieces, it's actually piece number 2, is going to need the adhesive front and back. I found through trial and error that if you don't put it on the front and back, the pieces are gonna stick to the little spinners. So we just wanna give it enough leeway that those are aligned. So you can see I have that piece on the front and back. So this is where number 2 will get cut. This is gonna be piece number, I have to think about it, 4. And then this area is gonna be for piece 1, piece 3, and the spinners as well. So let's move over to the laser. All right, so now we have our 4 layers cut out with the 2 spinners. And these are our 4 flames that we cut based on the fit test for those. So I'm gonna put these aside. They are pretty much the last part of the assembly. And I'm just gonna go through my assembly instructions with you. So this basically, just like it says, 4, 3, 2 with the spinners, and then 1 goes on top. I find it most convenient to paint first. I also like to paint the little tabs on these spinners, or just paint the entire spinner to camouflage it better behind that. It's just a personal preference thing. So on these pieces, we can go ahead and get started. So I guess we will start with painting. And the 3 pieces that get painted are these. With the spinners, I will go ahead and take off the masking tape. Be sure you get inside the letters as well. And again, if you don't want to mess with the, the scored names, you certainly can just go by the shapes and just suppress the score feature for the labels. I just do that to make it a little easier to follow on the video. When I'm cutting them for myself, I don't necessarily put those labels on. I'm going to leave the masking on this first layer because I find it easier to paint that way so I don't accidentally bleed onto the others. I did notice that the masking came off of this one little piece of holly, so I'm going to start with the holly and just remove all the masking from those. All right, so I have filled off all the holly, and rather than do my markers or only the acrylic markers, I'm gonna go with some of the ink today. Why not? Now I'm gonna go and remove the garland for these circle parts. And I think I'm just gonna go back over them with some green. I kind of like the two-tone green effect that we're getting so far. Okay, now that we have the green colored in, I'm gonna go ahead and remove the holly berries masking. And for the berries, I'm going to use an acrylic marker just 'cause it's a finer tip. I'm going to start with the pink candle first. And now we're going to remove the masking from kind of the background, this part in the middle where the wreath is. And then we'll also get all around the edges or the border piece down at the bottom, and then sort of the basket handle that goes around the top with the ornament hanger hole in it as well. Just be sure you get all those little pieces. There's quite a few the way it cuts. And then I'm going to paint the border brown. Now paint the spinners brown. And this is a really important part, is to be sure you remove the masking from this part around the candles. So if you don't, it's going to be very weird in the end. So peel that all the way off, and then we will clear coat. And next, Okay, while layer 1 and the spinners dry from the paint and the poly spray, we're going to start on the assembly. If you look on the assembly instructions, we talk about starting with layer 4 and having it flat on the table and removing the 3M backer. So I'm going to start by doing that. If I can get it off. All right. So we have layer 4 face up, nice and sticky. And this blue thing is my alignment tray. I do sell these on Etsy, so you can look for it there. But basically, it's just a very square. We machine these or print them to be nice and square. And what you're gonna do is be sure you have 2 points on this left side touching, okay? And then slide it all the way down to that top spot. As long as you maintain these 2 spots, sorry, my lighting's bad. These 2 spots here, that spot there, every one of your layers will match up as they come together. So that's layer 4. I'm gonna pull over, this is layer 3. Real quick, we'll just remove the masking from that. Sorry, it cut off in a few pieces here. There we go. And I'm not going to worry about this char because it's all going to be covered. It doesn't really matter. All right. So what I'm going to do, just like we did on layer 4, is be sure, I kind of like to hold layer 4 with one hand and then align this one. So all the way over on the 2 spots it hits, and then up against the top as well. Just a little hard to align and talk about. Okay, so we got it all nice and lined up. And you basically just gently drop that into place. And give it a good press. And you'll see these are very well aligned, much better than I can do just by feeling it and doing it freehand. So I like to use this tool. It's come in very handy. The next step on that is to get out the fairy lights, which I use these that I bought on Amazon. This is the pack. I have it linked on the instructions. These are actually very long lights, but you don't need them all, and frankly they don't fit, especially inside the pin. So what I'm going to do is cut it to be the length I want. So just undo how it's wrapped up, and just to make sure I'm not making any mistakes, I'll go ahead and turn these on and just count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you just want to cut on the excess side of the 4th light so that the 4th light is attached all the way back to the battery, and just plain old scissors. That's trash. And here's our fairy lights with the 4 lights on it. So next we're going to drop the battery pack in. Put this screw side down, and the battery, there's a little bit of play, that's fine. We just want to be sure there's room to get in there and kind of turn on and off the thing. Now the important part of this setup is those ovals that we had scored, and you want to be sure to line up your light inside the oval. And then tuck the rest of your wire down. Okay? It does not matter what order you go in. I'm gonna kind of work my way over here You do have to be sure that all the wire goes down into the wire compartment. Don't leave it stuck up on the edge because it'll interfere with the, the next layer that goes above it. There's a little bit of a front and a back on these. The wires, they seem to glow a little bit more yellow if they're one way or the other, but I'm not entirely sure which way works best. So we're just gonna weave the wire in there however it wants to go. Just make sure the lights are in the oval. And this is a little bit of a fussy process, but it'll be all right. All right. So once you have those in the ovals, I like to go back and just really smush them down, especially get the wires to contact the 3M adhesive that's behind that. So this whole layer back here, that was the top of layer 4, is sticky. So you want to really take advantage of that and press those things down. I mean, I literally will just use whatever is handy to make sure everything's secure. And that one's good enough. Oh, that one's not down far enough. So you just want to be sure there's nothing sticking up so that everything on the next layers will be clear to move. All right, so the next part is layer 2. So layer 2 is the one that has adhesive front and back, okay? It's important that it is on this piece, not here, because the spinners, which I have mislocated, oh, they're outside drying, that's right. The spinners go in these circles and they need to move freely. If there was adhesive here, you can tell it would stick in these various places and it wouldn't spin, it wouldn't do the whole job of spinning. So what we're gonna do now is peel the protective paper off the back side. So you see how it goes like this. This is a little asymmetric, so it'll help you realize like, oh wait, I have this wrong, okay? That is by design. Gives us a little cheater kind of thing, so anything foolproof is a good thing for me. So, what we're gonna do is peel the back, like I said, the back side of piece number 2. Take advantage again of my alignment tray and holding that firmly in those 2 places, we're going to, there we go, wasn't quite all the way in there. We're gonna hold that against there, and again, we'll just slide it down. I wasn't pushing hard enough, there we go. All right, again, nice and smooth alignment. Press this together well. You can go ahead now and just turn this over and be sure your battery is pushed on there. I'm gonna go ahead and turn off the battery. Okay. So now we are ready to do the spinners and the piece 1, the painted piece. So I'm gonna go grab those from outside and be right back. All right, I'm back with our spinners. Remember, they are marked A and B. You definitely have to have the letter up or the big window at the top because it won't, they're not symmetric and it just won't work otherwise if you flip them over. Same thing here. And just to double check, if you do want to double check that things are going well. So we have our first one that always shows. You can see with the spinner shut, these lights are off. Then you can rotate this to be on. Guess I over rotated, there we go. And then this one, again, lights 3 lights, and then this final one lights that way. I do know some people consider like this the first candle or second candle, and what you could do is just color them in whatever order it works. It is possible to basically have, I suppose you could turn that one on first. I mean, this is the, yeah, this one was always on, so however you want to do it, you could make that the pink candle if you wanted to, like have, for example, if this was your pink candle, if you wanted that to be first, second, and then pink, and then the final purple, you could just color it so that it works, but that is the idea behind it. And this is how it works. And obviously, if you don't want any of them on, you simply turn off the battery on the back. But we're gonna leave those like that. Again, they clearly, they swivel without any impedance. There's no adhesive or glue to get in the way of that. But you do make sure they're nice and flat in the holes. Now we're gonna go back to the flame tips. Remember these guys? And I'm gonna press them into our finished layer 1. This does have a dried clear coat on it. So I'll go ahead and do that and be back in a second. Okay, so I have all 4 of the lights, the flame tips in there. Banging it on this folding table, the whole thing was moving and it wasn't really getting them to seat well, so I took it over to my countertop where I could get them to all go in well, but you can tell they're in there. So the next step is just to stick this on and then we're good to go. So what I'm gonna do is, again, we're gonna just, whoopsie, put everything over here, peel this layer, peel my number first, there we go. All right, so again, that's sticky now. We are going to align those two. Make sure I'm still on screen, there we go. Align the 2 edges just like before, as well as that top point. And then we're gonna do the same thing, just raised up above the other layers. And just gently let it fall down. Give it a nice press. And we are very well aligned. If this was a pin, like this, you can see the difference in size. The pins, what I'll do is take an adhesive magnet name tag holder and simply put that on the back. Oops. Give it a good press. Again, we just want to double check the battery's in good, in well. We have that, and then I'll switch it on. You can see how this one cycles through. And then similarly, I'll tie a ribbon through here to make this into an ornament. I just don't have that handy, but on this one, we will Turn it on. Week 2, week 3, and week 4. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if there's any questions, just put them down in the comments. I'm happy to help with anything except painting. Not my forte. All right, y'all have a great one and have a blessed Advent and a wonderful Christmas. Bye-bye.